Good morning or afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Q&A Cafe for Business by Design. Today, our topic is sales kits, alternative to production order, and by design, of course, with Ken Bates, one of our consultants here at Vista Solutions. And just to let you know that we are recording this session, so I will send this out with an email afterwards. You can, take a look at it afterwards or send it to your peers. As well as information on how to register for the next session, which is next Wednesday, July 22nd, same time, same place. And what is next week? It's demand planning and business by design. So we'll see you then. And without further ado, I'm going to put myself on mute and hand it over to Ken.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Kayla. Hello, everybody. A few of the names out there are familiar. So hello again. My name is Ken Bates. I am what they call me, a supply chain subject matter expert. And I'm going to give this review today. So sales kits is an alternative to production orders and by design. I've got an agenda here. Let me go there. Okay, so today's agenda. First of all, background information. Sales kits instead of production orders. What's all that about? Where does it make sense? How does it actually work? And by the way, please feel free to ask questions. I feel you're actually here if you do so. I don't think this will go the whole hour, depending on the number of questions. But yeah, feel free, slow me down. I tend to talk and move fast, so I'll try to keep that. But all of you, I think, from anything I can see, are pretty savvy on by design, so I don't have to go too basic here. Okay, sales kit instead of a production order. The background here is, about a year and a half ago, I was working on a new project, a new implementation, and they were doing this before and didn't want to do production orders and by design. And I found the subject matter interesting, and it worked pretty well for them. So here's the scenario. First of all, it really needs to be an assemble or package to order, where you're this particular company, what they did, they bought materials from overseas and they resold them, but they resold them in, they buy pretty much everything in eaches or some unit of measure like that, but maybe they would come in a box of 100 or a box of 20 or whatever, it really doesn't matter, a big shipping box of materials, and then they would sell the exact same materials but in different package size, maybe a 6-pack or a 12-pack or 24 or whatever. And they assembled it or they packaged it to order, and they really didn't want to go for a bill of material, a bill of operations, all the resources, all that master data setup you need to do in by design. And it was a new implementation. They didn't want all that scoping and all that expense on the implementation and so on. So we came to use sales kits rather than a production order because it worked pretty the same for them. Again, with the key being assemble package to order and a base unit of measure. Each, usually you're talking eaches, or it could be gallons. You could be bringing in things in 100 gallons and packaging them. But as long as they're a common use of a same unit of measure. Because in the assembler package to order part of it is the biggest limitation with the sales kit is you cannot put it in inventory. You can't pre-kit and put it in inventory as a kit. It's it's the individual parts until you ship it out, until you pick it. So they were using that pick list, or you can use your sales order confirmation as the work order. Okay. So that's the background of how we got to this idea. I'm not saying it's like ground shaking idea, but again, it can work and it saves you some maintenance of data if you have these scenarios. As far as prerequisites and by design, for scoping, to have kits in scope, all you have to have is sales, product and service portfolio for sales, sell standard products. So sell standard products. You got that little box clicked in scoping. There's no other questions or activities or anything. That's it for scoping. So it's a pretty thing to add in, or if you're selling standard products already, you've seen kits in there. So that's the scoping side of the equation. The next is master data. Now this is where I'm going to get into the system and show you the master data in case you're not used to sales kits. How you, and I'll show you that in ByDesign, how to create a sales kit. What I'm talking about here with, creating the sales kit, then put the kit item list. If you've already seen this, this may be a little redundant to you, and then show how, again, how the sales would work once you do this. So it's a pretty simple idea. Again, this isn't ground shaking, but I found it interesting, and I've been doing this stuff for a long time because, again, production orders can be a bit painful for all the master data, all the, the bill of material, bill operations, the resources, and everything else that goes with it. Let's just leave it that way, and all that. If you don't have to do that, yet you're still buying materials one way and selling them in another way, kits just might work for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into the system. And let me stop and take a breath. Any questions? And it's okay if there's not, take silence as not. Okay, so let me grab. All right, so I've got an SAP test system here. This views test. And things get a little weird in here because a lot of my coworkers do, but I went through it this morning. Everything's fine, so it should work well. But I always have, this system gets banged on by a lot of people in a lot of ways. So there's that. All right, so sales kit. Let's go through that data together. I'm going to go right here, new kit. And, you give it a kit ID, which is, by the way, I'll show you this. This data really goes into your material master, your product master. It's called a kit, and I'll show you the only little difference in a minute. So for today, I'm calling this P100-110-K3 for kit number 3 is me, and I'm going to do, how did I do this before? P100-0, and I'll call this one a 24 pack or 24 count, whatever description you want. Limited to 40 characters, unfortunately, and so on. So you got to have a category. This one here happens to be, what was it? Cylinder. And unit of measure comes in. Now then, the big difference with kits and other materials is no inventory. So you won't see any logistics. You won't see any planning tabs. You'll see it in your material master, but you won't have inventory for a kit. I'm going to go ahead and hit the view all. Okay, so importantly, do I buy this kit or do I only kit it myself? So you can purchase a kit that when it comes inbound on your purchase, it'll be the different parts of the kit. Remember, you don't inventory a kit. And by the way, just as a little more background, my best, if you're really new to sales kits, my best example of a sales kit or a good use of a sales kit, let's say you sell something like laptop computers, and with the laptop computer comes a power cord. But if I sell that power cord to the US, it uses a certain type of power cord. But if I sell it to Europe, if I ship the things to Europe, it's going to use a different kind of power cord. So I'll have a sales kit for US being this laptop, maybe a mouse and this power cord. And where I inventory those things in my warehouse separately, when I box them up and ship the order, I want that kit. And then a separate sales kit going to Europe with the laptop, maybe language thing or whatever, and the different mouse and a different power cord for Europe. So things like that where you don't want to, put add-ons or have choices maybe too. Okay, so big question. The first thing when you're doing a kit is, do I buy it or not? Or do I just do I just kit it myself? I pick it myself. A lot of times you don't, sometimes you do. For today, I'm not buying them. I'm just going to be making them. So you got to go through there when you're doing new here. By the way, you can upload through data migration templates, kits. That is possible. And I'm going to go ahead and block it just to finish this thing out. Sales, we are selling the kit. So you need this normal stuff. What am I doing? Sales here. Sales heating, direct. And you'll see item group kit. If you don't see item group kit, that means you didn't scope it. You didn't put in that scoping that I showed you before. That's really the only errors I've seen with this is if you didn't scope in planning or selling products. So I think I just need to activate this and all the other, normal functionality of selling stuff. We do evaluate our kits. So we'll add a row here, put in a company. This one. And I want, was it P1100? And I'll just call this finished goods. By the way, of course, you can create your own group if you want to do a different thing. For kits, that's a different session, but yeah, you can create your own account determination group. For your by the way, in case you don't know this is the way things show up on your balance sheet for your inventory. This is SAP out of the box stuff for raw materials, supplies, and so on. You can create different ones of these yourself. And I've had engagements where Ken just put it all in finished goods. On my inventory balance sheet, I don't need to know raw from finished. Or some people make this very detailed. I've seen people make it equal to their product categories, which I think is a mistake. That's redundant. You already have product categories, but there's that. Standard to moving average. I'm going to go with standard, and then we'll edit the cost real quick. And I don't want to spend a lot of your time with this stuff, but needed. Okay. All right. And I need to make that. All good. Okay, I'm going to save it. When I saved it, these buttons lit up, so I can check consistency. I'm not really done yet. This is the easiest way now is to create the list, which the item list kind of works as the bill of material in this scenario we're doing today. So if I create this thing, new, you can edit them. This is the same way you edit them here too. So I've got my kit here and add whatever items are going to go into it. So with this scenario, it's really a 1-for-1. I'm just putting in, but you could do other scenarios here. Remember, we're fooling the system into, what do I want here? I want this guy here. By the way, you can use a kit into a kit. I found that interesting. I haven't actually done that in real life, but looks like it can be done. So again, it's a common unit of measure. So this is going to be a 24 pack. So I'm going to use 24. 24 eaches are going to be in this kit. And you just hit save. If I had other items, I can add them. Save, check consistency. We're all good. Save and close. All right, save and close this. So now, I find interestingly anyway, I'm kind of weird about this. The kits, they don't have a separate, we have materials, we have services, we have a new item list over here, a new kit over here, but they don't separate out kits for you. They put them into materials. And let's just do all. And I just put in kit. And here's the one I just made, this 24 count. All right, again, you can go into edit like anything else. Again, there's no, we're not buying it, we're blocked for purchasing. There's no inventory stuff. I can You create the item kit here. You can edit this thing, and so on. Okay. So now we're ready to actually do something. Oh, someone has a question here? I see a question mark. How do I do this? Sorry, I'm not used to this thing. Cost. Oh, okay. Costing. I think that came from you, Laura. So costing is in the valuation. One thing ByDesign doesn't do is automatically or help you figure out what the valuation of the kit is based on its components. Like let's call it a costed bomb or something like that. So you have to actually put that in. You can do moving average. It will update that, when you do your GRIR and like anything else. But from the get-go, at least unless no, I'm sure of it. It doesn't have costed kitting, at least anything that I'm aware of, unless they've snuck something in on me. But I don't believe so. I could do further research on that, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Good question. All right, so we've got our master data. I've got inventory already in of the, I'm not going to go through all that scenario of buying the stuff from overseas and bringing it in. I've got plenty of inventory of my P100 110s that you can make into kits. It's pretty easy to do if you haven't seen this before. But, again, let's just kind of go quickly here, because you guys aren't newbies. And sales order, I'll just do a new one.
Ken, there was another question about.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It's hard to see in these windows, actually. It says, how does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a costing one, and then there is about multiple suppliers. So how does it work if you were purchasing a sales kit, but the individual items came from multiple suppliers? Can you only purchase a sales kit if all the items come from the same supplier?
No, yeah. Oh, yes. Good question. You can purchase a sales kit, and you can purchase. Okay, so let me make sure I understand the question correctly. You want to purchase a sales kit in its entirety, but you want to put the different items to different suppliers. You wouldn't be able to do that because for a purchase order, you have to have its single supplier, one purchase order, one supplier. So if you're buying stuff from one supplier and different parts of the kit from a different supplier, that would be a different PO. So you wouldn't purchase it together. And it's not like you could run this thing through an MRP and it's going to create purchase proposals. It's not going to explode a bill of material like a production order would. So it wouldn't do that for you. So you'd have to purchase the parts separately. If I'm again understanding the scenario altogether. Now having that said, if you had a sales order, and with lead time and all that kind of stuff, you have sales demand or sales forecast demand that's creating and you're running MRP and doing that type of thing. For a sales kit, you can do that. You can have a sales demand for a sales kit, and the system would, after running MRP and you have that set up for the parts of the kit, it would create the purchase proposals, the automatic purchasing through MRP, to be able to buy the components from the right suppliers. But you can't do it in the same PO, I guess is what I'm saying. So sort of a yes, sort of a no, in that, yeah, the system will be able to take your demand, whether it's, sales or forecast, demand planning type demand, and break that up into proposals for you to help you purchasing. But if you're buying the kit in its entirety, you're purchasing a kit, you need to purchase it from one vendor because your POs only have one vendor on them. Thanks for the question. That's good. All right, so in this thing here, I got this on track. It's good. Silver Star is always the customer of record in this system here, brings in this other data. I don't know why, but I feel that I have to fill this out. 74, just because I do. It's like OCD, I have to put external reference in this. Okay, so the product is the kit. So again, we're going to go P100-110-K3. And there it is. I've got my master data. Now again, master data does have to, the kit has to be set up to have, on the same sales unit or sales org, I should say. And with the customer, all that has to, for this to show here. It needs a price. You see, it breaks, if I had multiple parts, it would show that, one kit is made up of 24 of the cylinders. So let's just go with 2 of them. And, wait, I'm sorry, this is where I put my price in. 2 here. And 2 here. And let's sell them for $200 a piece. Get some good margin on this. Okay. Now I thought I took care of that earlier, but apparently I didn't. I'll defeat that in a second. All right, so any questions here? And Kayla, I'll definitely need help with questions. I'll make this bigger.
I don't see anything right now, Ken.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thanks. All right, so I've got a credit limit, but I'll fix that real quick. Let's just go ahead and do that now. And I'm gonna, again, this isn't an order to cash, so I'm gonna skip a step. For those of you who know this skips a customer demand step. I know I have my inventory and I'm good to go. So again, I'm cheating a little bit. And I'm also going to release it from the credit hold because I can. I'm not going to worry about taxes because I hate taxes. That's a different session from a finance person. And now I can release this. Okay, so where'd my order go? 3445. Now then, for your work order, you really have 2 choices. You could use, and I didn't show you this, I should have. I didn't think of it until I hit the button. But I could use, oh, let's fix that. I could use the sales order confirmation as my quote work order. I've used reporting. Reporting works well. I think that, I have get some custom report of your demand on this thing. But here's what it looks like, I guess, out of the box. It's a little messy. But you can use this as a work order, again, fixing it up. You can use, I'd probably recommend reporting. Or you can also use a pick list or your outbound logistics stuff too. So whichever step, along the way, we talk to you about that. But I'm looking for outbound logistics. 3445. Okay, so I can, again, I'll go ahead and do it. I'm not sure how this one has been configured, but what the heck, we'll figure it out. I can just go ahead and post goods issue, but I'm gonna do it the long way so you can see a pick list might work as well. Okay, so hopefully that went right to task. That's the way I always configure these things. I don't see any point in this, but we're gonna find out. I didn't have a chance to configure this before this morning. 3445. Oh, good. Okay, there it is. All right, so now you could use this as your quote work order as well. your move list, your pick list. Again, you can always, change these how you want them. And then when you're ready to ship, when you put it together, you go ahead and package it or assemble it or whatever you're going to do with this thing and ship it out. And I just propose this. All good to go. Save. Wait for it, close. And again, I like to see that go. And I also, now I didn't test this, but I personally, I just like to see that there's an invoice request. Oops. And I know it worked right. And there it is. There's my kit, there's my invoice, all good to go. Let's see how this thing looks. Oh, come on. Slow. There it is. Okay, so an invoice. All right, so now then, let's review. Close this up, go back here. All right, so let's kind of go through what we went through again and kind of take a breath. And so the idea here is, again, using a sales kit is really using your sales kit as your bomb and not doing anything else with production orders. So I'm using that sales kit as a bomb. I can use a sales order confirmation or a pick list for the order or reporting, do some kind of reporting for my work order to tell who needs to put these things together in time to get them shipped out on time. So use that. Again, scoping's a piece of cake because you just need sell standard products. That's no big deal at all. Master data, sales kits are a lot, go into your material master. The only, it's a big limitation. You can't build these ahead of time and put them into inventory. That's one of the big limitation with a kit. There's no kit in inventory. It's only the parts that make up the kit are in inventory. And the kit item list is the bill of material for the kit, really what that is. So again, the end-to-end here, the review the end-to-end is when you're buying and selling stuff, you're not really doing a lot of manufacturing to it. You're maybe assembling it, or you can take two parts and sell them as a different part. The kit can be your different part. As far as costing, you're only going to get directly out of the system is going to be the material costs, and you have to put it in manually. There's no, like with production orders where you can do, material valuations and things like that. So that's definitely a limiting factor for the finance side. It really is when you're just buying and selling, and as far as the cost of assembling or packaging is just overhead stuff you can apply to your cost of goods elsewhere. So that's what I've got today in a nutshell. I've taken 30 minutes of the hour. I know you're all busy, so I'd love to take questions or show you something else along these lines that I'm prepared that I could show you if you like, or answer any questions at all. Let me see if I can see anything in here. Come here, make this bigger.
I don't see any questions, Ken.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then, if nothing else, Kayla, I'll let you wrap this up. And it was a pleasure, and thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it. I hope this you've got this was somewhat helpful. I know it's not ground shaking, but I found it interesting that this would actually work pretty well for certain scenarios that you don't have to use the whole issue of a production order and yet still buy something one way is one item and sell it some ways else, in another manner, not using a production order. So again, thanks again, and that's it.
Great, thank you, Ken. And we'll see everyone next week. If you would like to register right now before your email comes out, you can go to our resources page on our Vista View Solutions website. Scroll all the way down to the bottom, and that's a listing of all of our upcoming Q&A cafes. So be sure to sign up for the upcoming ones and have a great rest of your day.